Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to be able to do these readings in honor of community poetry, and in honor of that I am doing something for a future book. I usually do them for existing books, but I'm going to do sets of poems from the upcoming 2023 CyberWit book titled Testament. I'll try to show you images of Testament on this cover because it isn't done yet. It's not done yet, but I will be showing you a few poems from the upcoming book. I hope you appreciate them. This is from the first section, it's all related to post-Roe v. Wade poems. This first one's titled Jihad Against Free Choice. Bypassing my poli-sci school prerequisites, I'm sure my early U.S. high school history class taught me the 10th Amendment clearly. Powers not stated in this Constitution, quote, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. When the United States was founded, that worked, and we were separate nation states until we made a Federal Reserve, until we mandated a federal income tax. And yes, Congress may have created the U.S. Army, but in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 12, it states, and let me quote, "The Congress shall have the power to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years." Even through the Civil War, armies existed by state. But now war becomes national. My military husband will quickly state that all recruits start their service with tours of 4 to 8 years. If we support our Constitution so, then why do we allow our government to break it by forcing people to serve at a minimum of 2 to 4 times longer than they're politically, legally supposed to? My point is, even if the national government breaks its own laws, once they created national banks, taxation, armies, that is when we lost our autonomy as individual nation states. We're all one now, like it or not. And the overturning of Roe v. Wade explicitly pointed that out. That choice is too far for national government. That power should be remaining with the states. So, yeah, in principle, I get that. I don't like a national government taking my rights away. But Roe v. Wade didn't take our rights away. And after signing this one document that has given the go-ahead to let our states to try to do that instead, we then learned that Christian Jihad Against Free Choice will try to force their beliefs on everyone and take rights away from over half of its people. Is that how our Constitution is supposed to work? By the people, for the people? For we, the people, don't like one religion trying to tell us what to do. Since the beginning, we've dealt with "In God We Trust" on our money, and they changed the Pledge of Allegiance to include "Under God," thanks to Eisenhower, because us Americans are supposed to be better than those godless communists. Though I do remember seeing far too many elaborate churches when I visited St. Petersburg. And I'm no history buff, but now that I think about it, let's go back to that First Amendment, and I quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion." This is before free speech or freedom of the press. And I bring this up, the first words of the First Amendment, because over half of these United States now try to establish their religious beliefs by suppressing the rights of over half the people. Isn't that just one more thing expressly forbidden by our Constitution? And really, I'm no history buff, but it doesn't take much reading to find so many things going wrong after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It's a shame that we need to pass more laws just to get our rights back, because I don't think marches are going to solve this one. Granting rights to national choices have only come after fighting tyrannical religious dogma for centuries. Our people can't wait that long. When we've had our rights, we can't go back to suppression, repression, oppression. We know better. We deserve more. And you can't fight reason forever. That is a poem that is going to appear in the upcoming CyberWit book, Testament. Let me shout it out to you. Testament, Testament, Testament. Here is another poem I'd like to share with you from that collection. And this is titled, oh yeah, because, you know, you have to bring up religion as much as you can. This is called Just Checking My Religions. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade, I believe over half of these United States had trigger laws that would instantly restrict abortions or make them illegal. These Christian conservatives think they're helping an unborn child when their own Bible doesn't agree with them and they only restrict women instead. But Christians, if you're so gung-ho on opposing your religion as law, tell me why a fetus in the U.S. government doesn't get a social security number, or why no priest can bless a stillborn or a miscarriage because it was never considered alive. What does that say for protecting non-living things over an adult female? Speaking of religion as law, which I think is something the United States wants to shy away from, what of the Jewish people who don't believe life begins at conception, or that a fetus is a full person deserving equal rights to human beings? A Jewish law gives a fetus the full status of a human at birth. And the Talmud indicates that until 40 days of gestation, the fetus is, quote-unquote, mere water. Ancient rabbis considered a fetus as part of the mother, and it was fully dependent on the mother, and she had full rights to do whatever she wanted to her body. So, if the new conservative Christians impose these restrictions, they constitutionally break the First Amendment and deny freedom of religion for some. I don't think you conservative Christians are still holding a grudge on this killing Jesus thing, but trying to make your religion laws actually illegal. And in the Constitution. So really, at this point, what laws do you hope to break till your unfounded religious tenets are law, restricting all womankind? Okay, that was the second one in this whole theme of the post-Roe v. Wade poetry that will be in the upcoming book, Testament. I shout out for you. Testament. This was actually a photograph taken in front of the Customs building in New Orleans, Louisiana, if anyone's interested. But when the book comes out next year, you can see that yourself. I think I will share with you one more poem in this reading in honor of short readings from books for the Community Poetry monthly book reading service on the first Wednesday of every month, which has stopped because of because of COVID. But I'm keeping it going doing this. This is a poem from this book titled Overturning Against All. It is not only a select few who suffer from the Dobbs v. Jackson ruling, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and stripping away of women's constitutional protections. It is not only pregnant women affected. Any doctors providing birthing services, especially when specializing in high-risk pregnancies, may leave the states that ban abortions, leaving fewer doctors, particularly and tragically, in rural areas. Beyond that, medical students and medical residents won't want to train in states that don't offer this, which is the same practice as providing miscarriage services for women in need. And if that's not enough, the one thing women felt they had the trusted right to, birth control, that may be taken away from them too. I know this might just be water cooler talk, but I heard within the industry that when the first birth control pill was released, the Catholic Church, who held stock in that pharmaceuticals company, protested madly over the pill. They complained like mad, but didn't sell their stock, as the company made money hand over fist because of this sinful product. And I hear that only after a generic came along and the one drug company got less coin from birth control did the Catholic Church sell their stock. But let's get away from abortions and to meds, because some drugs for it are used for other purposes too. As a woman diagnosed at an early age with psoriatic arthritis, one of the drugs I took was methotrexate. And now, people who suffer with psoriasis, lupus, and other autoimmune disorders can't obtain their first-line medication, methotrexate, because it is also in abortion medication. I remember that how after a single grand mal seizure, they put me on medication for it that was also supposed to be an antidepressant. Later I realized I felt devoid of life then because that drug treated two completely different medical issues. Anti-abortion news now spreading like wildfire makes some search for more all-natural herbal options that are touted online, from Hogwarts, pennyroyal, mugwort, to even vitamin C. But anyone with an ounce of knowledge or know-how knows that too much of this is critically more dangerous than the actual living human's female, that it's almost ensured failure on an embryo. But I suppose despite desperate times call for desperate measures when women lose their rights. Because when some states are bound and determined to do this to women, believe it or not, what kicks in for women is their survival instinct. And some rights to the non-living, they take away from living, breathing, voting adults across genders, ages, and interests. Because whatever overturning it does, it really does affect more than just a select few. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm just going to read to you three because they take up some time. I'm looking at the clock there. Those were three pieces from the upcoming 2023 CyberWit book titled Testament. This is a cover. This is a cover for it for next year. I might come with a few more readings during this 1 to 3 p.m. Time slot on the first Wednesday of the month, like it existed every month at the bookstore in North Lamar in Austin, Texas. I hope everyone's remaining safe. I hope everyone has been vaccinated, and thank you all for listening, and thank you for being considerate about the issues, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.